Hello Choppers, and welcome to our preview of Cursed Empire, the Heroes of Thargos card game. It is for 2 players, ages 14 up, and plays in about 45 minutes per player. And in this game, you take the role of characters and heroes from Thargos and the Cursed Empire RPG, and you try to accomplish missions on lane combat, playing lasting cards and action cards to accomplish these missions by fulfilling the 3 stats of might, mind, and mysticism. We're going to go ahead and get it to the table, take a look at it. As you can see here, we have everything set up for a 2-player game of Cursed Empire. We have this on this nice playmat that was provided to us by the designer, and I'm hoping this is available during the Kickstarter because it lays everything out that you need beautifully. It's got spots for your 4 teams or 4 heroes. It's got spots for the other players' 4 heroes. I've got those cards turned around facing us for simplicity of shooting the video, and it's also got spots for the mission cards because we will be doing lane combat to try to complete those mission cards. It's also got spaces for our discards, our deck, and our victory points, as you can see there. We're going to be covering the basic game here, which is for 2 players. The base game comes with enough cards to make 2 decks for 2 players to play. There are other variants for multiple players, but I think you'll have to either get another base set or buy packs of cards if they're available to be able to make decks. Because everybody's deck is 60 cards. Everybody starts out with 64 cards. There are 4 heroes and 60 cards in their decks. The cards in the decks are made up of mission cards, lasting cards, and action cards. And we're going to go over what those mean in a minute. But let's take a look at the hero cards first. Okay, so everything you need to know about your character is set up on the character card. You can see it's got a C in the middle of the skull here for a character. That's how you signify it. And it's also red. All the character cards are red. It has a faction symbol up here in the corner because some advanced rulings will, for deck building stuff, will let you only use certain cards of certain factions if you have that kind of character in your deck. But we're not going to go into that in this video. You have a number here in the upper right corner. This is your character's like power number, and it also helps determine how many victory points you need to get by the end of the game. So when you're building your team of 4 heroes, you need to keep this number into account because the characters that have a lower number tend to have lower power. So if you're building your team and your team has a total of, let's say, just like 18 power, yeah, it's gonna be quicker to get your victory points you need from your missions into your pile that you'll need to win the game, because that's ultimately the goal, is to get as many victory points as your character, your team totals up to. But you tend to have lower stats, so it's going to be harder for you to complete those missions and get them. Whereas if you have a higher team number, it's going to be easier for you, but you're going to need more victory points in your pile. Each character comes with a little ability in the middle. Here you can say you gain +1 in mind when you're defending a mission card. Mind is one of your 3 stats you have. You have might, mind, and mysticism, as is signified by red, green, and blue, and a number in the card. Whenever you're doing your combat to complete the mission on the board, you'll take these numbers into effect, as well as other cards you play. Now, this is the character's ready side. The characters also, on the flip side, have an injured side, which has the same cost to play the card, but also has a different ability. You get injured if you lose a mission when you're trying to complete it, and the defending player actually defends the mission. Your hero or your character will be injured and flipped over. You can see that the injured card has a better ability. This gains 2 mind when defending a mission card, but its stats are lower as a 2/0/0 instead of the 2/1/1 and +1 the mind on the other side. So you get a better ability, but your stats lower when you're injured. So let's move on to mission cards. Mission cards are gold colored. And remember, the colors might change in this because this is a prototype printed copy, so the colors might change a little because this is a little darkish of an orange, right? It's supposed to be a gold color. So final printing, different color. So all the cards are laid out similarly. The missions, the lasting cards, and the actions. They have a number in the upper corner that is a modifier number that is used for combat, and we'll go over that in a little bit. But mission cards have numbers on the bottom that this is what you have to have total to be able to obtain the mission. Now, some of these cards only have one stat, some of them have two, and some of them have all three stats on there. But you need to fulfill the requirements of all stats on the card to be able to fulfill the mission. And it has a little ability here, like this one says, when you fulfill it, you take a card from the any player's hand, and then you add it to your own hand. So this would be a good one to get, especially if you're low on cards. Now, the number in the middle of the skull on this doesn't have a C or an M for mission like the character cards do. This number is your victory point total. If you fulfill this mission, it goes over here in your pile of victory points. Now, if you're coming to the game with separate base decks from everybody, or you want to make sure you keep track of your cards and whose cards go where, because we will be splitting up mission cards, which I'll show you here now. Let's show you a little bit of setting up the game, though, before we get to the other cards and how stuff's laid out, because this is how the mission cards get laid out. So normally you decide who goes first, and then players will alternate placing their characters on the board. We already have the 4 characters set up here for time constraints. But then they will each draw a hand of 6 cards. Now this player over here, he has a creature that says his, or a character that says his hand size is only 5 cards. Hand size. So he will only draw 5 cards instead of 6 cards. But usually your hand is 6 cards. So I've already drawn them here for the player facing us. And you look at them and you see how many mission cards, first off, that you have. You have to have a hand of at least 2 mission cards. So he does. I have 3 mission cards here for my hand. So I'm ready to go. Then the other player will draw their 6 cards, or in this case 5, and see how many mission cards they have. Oh, no mission cards. When this happens, this hand of cards goes into the discard pile, and then we would draw a complete new hand of 5 cards for that player. Or go ahead and look at them. Nope, I do not have 2 mission cards in here. I only have 1 here and a bunch of lasting and action cards. So that will get discarded, and then we will continue going like this until we get a hand that has 2 mission cards. Now, there we go. We have 2 mission cards in this hand here. So this is a hand that they will keep. And then all these cards that were discarded, they don't get shuffled back into the deck. They just get placed on the bottom of that player's deck, like so. So once each player has at least 2 mission cards in their hand, they will go ahead and choose one of them, starting with the first player, and we will place them on the board. And then we will alternate. The other player will place a mission card, I'll place a mission card, back and forth like so. So let's see. This one's got a 2 mysticism to be able to accomplish it. So I want to put this on a place that's got a lot of mysticism on score. My guy right here has 3. So it'll be easy for him to fulfill this mission. Plus it's worth 2 victory points. So I will place that one there. Then the other player will be able to place one of their mission cards. Oh, this one's got 3 there. That's going to be harder. But let's look at this one here. It has a red 4. So let's see which one of my guys, which is Might, by the way, the red, as you can see, it's got a little thing there. Let's see. I'm going to place this mission over there. Actually, and I'm going to turn it to face them, to make sure it's signified that that's one of their mission cards over there. So I remember it for putting it back in my deck. And this continues placing missions to get ready to game. Once all 4 missions are placed, then we can get to the action. Alright, we've got those placed down, so now we can begin. So I'm going to be the heroes here. I'm going to be the active player. The player taking their turn first, or at that time, is the active player. So how play goes is the draw, then the play, the action, and the score. So at the beginning of your turn, you do the draw. You have to draw till you have 6 cards in your hand. If you ever can't draw from your deck during the draw, you lose the game. So that's another way to try to accomplish winning the game. If you can't get enough victory points, maybe do stuff to try to deck out the other player so that during the draw, they can't draw their cards. So we're going to draw 2 cards, and then I will get to play. During the play, you get to choose one lasting card from your hand and place it underneath one of your character cards. Now, lasting cards are blue, and of course they're set up like the other cards are. They've got an L in the middle for lasting. They've got a modifier that it can be used to play during trying to fulfill a mission. And it's also got a little ability, and it has the 3 stats, Might, Mind, and Mysticism on the bottom of the card. The ability here for this one says that the attached character may choose to draw an additional card during the draw phase and place one on the bottom of your deck. So that ability can be good during the game. So I'm actually going to play a lasting card during my turn. I'm going to play it right here on my scout. This Kandar Scout right here. The Kandar Scout already has an ability. It says gain +1 mysticism while the lasting card is attached. So it already had a 1 mysticism, so now that makes it a 2 mysticism. But also, it gives me a 4 total in might. And looking at this card over here, this mission card, I need to have a 4 during the battle to try to fulfill this mission, or battle, or whatever it is. This is burn enemy city, so, you know, trying to burn it down. And also, when I fulfill it, I can fulfill it to force the defender to discard their entire hand. So that's a pretty good mission to do, especially this early in the game that I'm looking at. So after the play is the action. During the action phase, you get to play either one action card from your hand, and action cards are green, or you get to try to fulfill a mission. Okay, so let's look at the action cards in my hand. I have a couple of good action cards, but they're not really, their abilities aren't useful right now. They're set up just like everything else. They have an A for action in the middle. They have their modifier for fulfilling missions up in the top, which ranges from 1 to 3. But they do not have the stats at the bottom like the other cards do, because they don't stick onto characters like lasting cards, or they're not have requirements like mission cards. These are just things that come in, they happen, and then they go to your discards. Now, the ones that I actually have here are great for later on, like one lasting card of your choice is returned to its owner's hand and cannot be reattached next turn. I have 2 of those. They're not really relevant right now, and the other ones aren't. So I'm actually looking at this, and I have 5 cards in my hand, and I know my player, or my opponent, only has 3 cards in their hand because they have a hand size of 5 because of the one character, and they had to place down 2 missions, and they have not had the draw for their turn yet. They only have 3 cards, as opposed to my 5 with my modifiers here. I can probably snipe this mission real quick at the beginning of this game, especially with having a lasting card on my character. But you have to remember, when you're fulfilling missions, then totaling up the numbers, that the number on the mission card will actually be applied to the defender's score. So right now, the defender, this +4 here, and his 3 might, makes it a 7 for him. Against my numbers, I've only got a 4, my 2 plus my 2 on my lasting card, so I'm going to have to place some modifiers. So we're actually going to try to complete this mission of burning the enemy city. Alright, so I've chosen to fulfill this mission, so what I need to do is I need to lay down some cards. I lay them down face down. I'm going to play 1 or as many cards as I want face down for this track, and then we will reveal modifiers after we've both placed cards face down. So I'm gonna take these 2 cards, since I have an extra one of this Krill monster, or Krill horned cost stomp card, and I got this Cadra battle cry, which the ability doesn't really matter right now. I'm going to go ahead and place, these both have +2, so that'll give me an 8. I place 2 cards face down, and I'm going to put them over towards the red might symbol to show that they are going towards the might. Now, you can lay them down on any of your scores, but you have to signify what score you're laying them down on. So it's good to use tokens like red, green, or blue tokens to show that which ones you're lining them up on, and also to make sure that you know when you're fulfilling them, that's what you're adding them to. So I've placed those 2 cards face down. My opponent looks at his cards. He's only got 3 there. He doesn't really want to give up any right now, so he's actually not going to play it. He knows he has a 7. He most likely knows that I'm going to have over 7 on mine. So he's going to choose not to play any modifier cards face down. So now the next step is we would turn all modifier cards face up and calculate totals. So we know I have 8 total on mine, and he has 4 plus the 3 total on him. So it's 7. So I win. Now, on the off chance that he would have won for whatever reason, the mission card would stay there. He doesn't fulfill the mission card because he's not trying to do it, but he will injure my character. So I would have to turn my character card over to the injured side until I can find some way to heal him to turn him back over. I just have to play him as injured. But since I won, I get to take my card, do what the special ability on there. I have to force the defender to discard their entire hand. You should have used it. You didn't use it, you're gonna lose it. So now they got to discard their entire hand, but they will get a hand of 6 full cards at the beginning of next turn, which is their turn. This goes into my victory point pile right here. And then these cards I played as a modifier will go into my discards. Once that's all cleaned up, we need to replace a mission onto the board there. Now, while we do that is the player that won the mission card looks in their hand, and if they have a mission card, they have to play it to their spot, like so. But if I didn't have a mission card in my hand, I would have to draw cards from the deck until I found a mission card. Let's say I didn't have one here. I'd have to draw until I found one. Any cards that I drew that were not mission cards, like any lasting or action cards I drew, they would go into the discard pile. They do not get shuffled back into your deck. And you keep going until you have a mission card to fulfill. But that didn't happen. So this card is going to go back up in the deck because I actually have one in my hand to fulfill. So I'm going to place that one there so I can try to get it on a future turn. So now it's done, it goes to the score. During the score, you check your victory point pile, and if you have the total amount of victory points equal to your power points of your characters, in this case, this team has 10, 16, 24, oh, sorry, 23. I have to get 23 points to win. I only have 4. I didn't win. So play passes to the other player, who will now take the draw. He will draw 6 cards and continue to the play where he will play blasting cards, and then it goes to the action where he can play an action card or fulfill and then check his own score afterwards. So play continues in this form back and forth until someone either has enough victory points in their pile during their score phase of their turn to win, or until one of the players decks out and then that player loses and of course the other player wins. Cursed Empire Heroes of Thargos card game is coming to Kickstarter soon, so make sure you keep an eye out for it. You can also check out more information on it at cursed.empire.com. We'll put a link down in the description where you can also find out about the awesome role-playing game that this card game is based off of, with the beautiful artwork and the great mechanics. It's really interesting. You're gonna like it. If you're a fan of RPGs, make sure you check out the Cursed Empire RPG on their website, cursed.empire.com. I'm Logan, as always, and this has been our preview of Cursed Empire. And as always, happy gaming.